What's up, everybody? This is Tim with the Geeked Up Gamer Review Group and also the partner owner of the Dragon Scale LLC. Bring you guys a deck profile of Krenko Mob Boss, and you can see that I have 3 of the unglued goblins out here as the token to represent the X amount of tokens that Krenko would make. So we're going to go ahead and set those off to the side and go ahead and tell you what Krenko does. For those of you that are not familiar with Krenko, Krenko is, from this in particular print, is from the M13 set, is a Krenko Mob Boss, 4-drop, 2 of any color and 2 red. After Summoning Sickness goes away, then you can tap him and put X red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is the number of goblins you control. And he is a 3/3. So he's not very fast on getting out. There's not a lot of ramp in red. But once you hit that 4th land, you get him out there. If you've already got Porphyros's hammer, the hammer of Porphyros onto the field, you've already got haste turn 3, Krenko turn 4, and you're ready to start producing goblins. So those of you that have not ran this deck can get pretty nasty. So we're going to go ahead and go over and look at the different lands that we run in this. Now they're all mono red. It's a mono red deck. We run all red lands. We do have a 1-drop. Tap, add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. This ability is played as an interrupt. So at any time you can tap this guy and make 2 colorless mana, which is pretty nice early on to get Krenko out. Usually with Soul Ring and 1 mountain, you can usually pop Krenko on turn 3. You'll hopefully get into that X mountain, or if you have it in hand. So that's the Soul Ring that we run. That is a revised, I believe. Still has the T-tap symbol, so I think that's like right before Unlimited, somewhere in there. So that's the Ring of Fire Soul Ring. So we are running Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle. This one came out of original Zendikar. Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle, enters the battlefield tapped. Whenever a mountain enters the battlefield under your control, if you control at least 5 other mountains, you may have Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle, deal 3 damage to target player or creature. Tap, add 1 red mana to your mana pool. So this will not activate until you play that 6th land. And I think from the way this reads, it looks like you're whenever a mountain enters the field. Oh, okay, so it does specifically say mountain. So yeah, I play this deck all the time, and I still have to reread cards just to clarify, because I'm like, oh wait, does this let me do other stuff? No, it's only mountains. So you play that 6th mountain, you can pop it off, you can start lightning bolting people if you run enough lands, and if you have this on the field. So some of the unique lands we have are, this one is a foil Hour of Devastation basic land. I have 1 of each color. Thank you to Chandler Phillips for donating these to the Dragon Scale and making these accessible to us to put in a lot of different decks. So I have 1 of every color, and this was a foil. It was promotional. So again, Chandler, thank you for hooking us up. Now this land in particular, I run this because it's John Avon. I just love the artwork of what's been put in here, and I do apologize for the shadow that I'm casting. So I try to keep my hands back so you guys can see the cards. Maybe I'll use my left hand. So, you know, tap red mana. So it's a basic mountain, but I love the artwork. So we do run a lot of John Avon lands in here. Total lands ran in the deck are 35 plus Molten Pinnacles, about 36 lands. I may be counting off from 1 or 2. So this is a Unseries, the Unglued Mountain, and I got this a while back. It's like a $5 mountain. We're really excited about the Unstables coming out, and hopefully we can get some more of these, but we are hoping that they make them full text mountains. Full text lands just all together, just all the rules text about the land, how it works, and everything else. So that's the Unglued, and then last but not least, and one of my personal favorites, because I did this altar on this one, I redid the outside border in a red, and then made the sun in the mountains a blood moon. So that's my own altar there, and I run a few of those. So you can see that most of these I run are white border. I have 4 total John Avons. I only run 3 of the altars, only because I don't have a 4th mountain yet, and the rest are white border mountains. So what I did with the deck is I went ahead and put it in mana cost order. So our first card that we have is Devil's Play. Devil's Play deals X damage to target creature or player. Devil's Play deals X damage to target creature or player. The reason I put this at the front of the deck, because it's obviously 1 red, but you can pay anything into it. So it really doesn't fit into one of the mana categories of 5-drop, 6-drop, 4, 3, 2, or 1. So technically it's a 1 because X is always 0. And it has flashback with X and then 3 mountains. And it says you may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost. Then exile it. So that is Devil's Play. I gotta do these from this side. So our first 1-drop Haste Goblin. He's a 1-drop from Gatecrash. Goblin Soldier has haste and battalion. Whenever Legion Loyalist and at least 2 other creatures attack, creatures you control gain first strike and trample until end of turn, and can't be blocked by creature tokens this turn. So it's kind of nice. Somebody's like, oh, I got tokens. It's like, yeah, I have goblin tokens too, or a lot of tokens that are goblins, and you can't block any of them with your tokens. So it's not a token war. So this is a 1-drop, and Goblin Lackey is one of those amazing cards, but having him in your first hand, he's not really useful unless you have like a big guy you need to drop. But he is a 1-drop, 1/1. And then whenever Goblin Lackey successfully deals damage to a player, you may choose a goblin card in your hand and put that goblin into play. So it doesn't matter what their mana cost is, as soon as you're just like, hey, yeah, hit you for 1, you can cast any of them you want. This guy I put in as a filler, but then I realized really early in the game he's really good. It's Goblin Glory Chaser. He's a 1-drop, renowned 1. So when this creature deals combat damage to a player, if it isn't renowned, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it becomes renowned. As long as Goblin Glory Chaser is renowned, it has menace. It can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures, and he's a 1/1. So if you drop him down turn 1, like okay, and then you hit somebody, he gets a counter, becomes renowned. Now he has to be blocked by 2 creatures. So 1, you've already beat them because you have 1 creature on turn 1. And if they pop a creature, it doesn't matter. He's still getting through. Like you just can't block him because nobody's going to be that quick. Well, unless you're playing another Goblin deck or Elves or something like that. There are quick decks out there. But usually when I see Goblin Glory Chaser, he's pretty good right there in the very beginning of the game. And later on in the game, he's a pretty good body. Now, I know everybody knows this goblin, the Goblin Guide. This one is for Modern Masters 2017 because I went the cheap route and didn't want to pay for the expensive Goblin Guide. And I actually got this one on a trade, so that was pretty good. So Goblin Guide is a 1-drop, 2/2 haste. Whenever Goblin Guide attacks, defending player reveals the top card of his or her library. It fits a land card, that player puts it into his or her hand. So you can kind of play politically with this card. Be like, all right, I'm going to attack. This is turn 1. Hey, do you want the chance of having another land in your hand? Especially those guys that are playing Canios. They're like, yeah, because I'll be able to drop 2 lands at a time, and I'll take the damage from that Goblin Guide. So you can play politically with the Goblin Guide. Be like, all right, you got a chance to get a land, so I'll swing at you, and then they'll reveal or whatever. So one of my favorite cards, and it's a foil copy. This guy, he is one of the pieces to go infinite in this deck. He is sacrifice a goblin and add red mana to your mana pool. He's the Skirk Prospector, a 1 red for a 1/1 drop. Common card, but is really good on a 3-piece combo. And it's not just a synergy combo. I'll show that a little later after I go through all the cards. I'll put the pieces down and kind of show you guys some of the unique situations that this deck can go into. And we have Goblin Fireslinger. This one is like one of my favorite foils out of this whole deck. You know, it's just they made the ring foil on that and everything. So it's a 1-drop, 1/1 common card. Goblin Fireslinger. You can tap Fireslinger and deal 1 damage to target player. Not very effective in Commander, but he is super annoying. So somebody will be like, I'm gonna pass turn. All right, well, take a point of damage at the end of your turn, please. so he can be kind of a nuisance. This is one of my favorite cards, sometimes annoying. And I've only made a mistake one time with this card. The situation was this was the only card in my hand, and I cast it, I search my library, and I go, okay, I have this in my hand. Well, guess what? I have to discard it, because I'm an idiot. But I have not made that mistake since then. I've at least had 2 cards in hand, with this being one of them, and then put one in my hand and discard one at random. So what this does is it's gamble, it's a 1-drop sorcery, and it is a rare. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, discard a card at random, then shuffle your library. So it's a pretty, like, subtle way of searching your deck, everything else. This has been a killer card for a lot of players at the store. This is Goblin Warstrike. It is a 1-drop red common sorcery. Goblin Warstrike deals damage equal to the number of goblins you control to target player. So if I have, so many goblins on the field, let's just say 500, I Warstrike you, you're super dead. D-E-D dead. This card I bought before it went down in value. It got reprinted in Modern Masters 2017, and I picked this one up. It was like 20 bucks, so it's not like that big of a deal. Yeah, I spent the money on it and didn't know it was going to come in Modern Masters because we didn't know Modern Masters was a thing. But, yeah, it's a Basilisk Collar. It's a 1-drop, rare, artifact equipment. Equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink, equipped 2. The card that this is specifically for can be very, very brutal. It could be a 2-card board wipe, and we'll show you that little synergistic combination later. Brightstone Ritual. This one has saved me multiple times. It's a 1-drop common instant. Add red to your mana pool for each goblin in play. So it's kind of like a Goblin Warstrike, but this one gives you mana instead of doing a bunch of destruction to someone. But then, you take that and then you put it in a Devil's Play and just hi-ya. Alright, Quest for the Goblin Lord. There's a lot of people that underestimate this power of this card, and that's awesome. It is a red 1-drop enchantment. It is an uncommon. Whenever a goblin enters the battlefield, yes, that means if you turn Krenko to the right and it pours out goblins, you put counters on this. So whenever a goblin enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a quest counter on Quest for the Goblin Lord. As long as Quest for the Goblin Lord has 5 or more quest counters on it, creatures you control get +2/+0. What does this say? A shrine to unchecked desire. Oh boy. A lot of the cards that I own, I've never read the flavor text, and then when I do, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Alright, so we have next the Skull Clamp. This one actually saved me a couple days ago. It was the first time I ever used Skull Clamp to actually be effective. I was Skull Clamping guys and drawing 2 cards, and it saved me. So, Skull Clamp is a 1-drop common artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1/-1. Whenever equipped creature is put into a graveyard, draw 2 cards. So what you'll do is you put it onto a token, it flashes that token into the graveyard, and then you can draw 2 cards. So basically you're filtering your deck. You are sacrificing creatures to get there, but usually playing mono red, it's totally worth it. Alright, so that is all the 1-drops. Now we're on to the 2-drops. Goblin Tunneler is a 2-drop from the Conspiracy set, Take the Crown. This is a Goblin Rogue. 1 of any color and 1 red. Target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. So you just put them on the field and just be like, alright, I'm going to tap this and I'm going to hit whomever I'd like with my Goblin Guide, or anyone that's also a 1/1. So, onto, it looks like I've got the sorceries and the creatures mixed up. That's okay. So Krenko's Command is a 2-drop sorcery out of the M13 set, this one in particular, and a common. Put 2 1/1 goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. So let's say Porphyros got out the Forge is out on the field, and you play this. Those 2 creatures drop. That's 4 damage. to everyone, because you're doing 2 for each creature that comes onto the field. Next up is Goblin Recruiter, a 2-drop common. When Goblin Recruiter comes into play, search your library for any number of goblin cards. Reveal those cards to all players, shuffle your library, then put the cards on top of your library in any order, and it is a 1/1. So once he hits the field and he does his job, I'm pretty much done with him at that point. He's just a body on the field. Now, I used to run a Conjurer's Closet where I could do this twice, usually in one game. I wouldn't do it really any more than that, but I don't have Bogart Shenanigans in here. I know I posted pictures on the Facebook group that I had that was part of the deck. It is part of the deck. I just don't have him in this deck yet. But he would be a card I would go look for with, Bogart Shenanigans, and then I would choose 2 other creatures, and then I would also put or 3 other goblins. So there would be 4 goblins total on the top. But I would put the Ringleader on the very top. So when I play Ringleader, I can then reveal those top 4, and guess what? Those top 4 are goblins. Unless somebody mills me on their turn, and then we have issues. Our next one, Goblin War Driver. He's a 2-drop, 2 reds, uncommon. He's a creature Goblin Warrior, has Battle Cry. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So you're telling me if I put this along with some of the other guys that are in here, and plus the artifacts that are in here that get even buffs, these guys are going to be huge. Maybe not so much on the defense side, but that attack side, definitely going to hurt. And this is also a 2/2 creature, 2/2 Goblin Warrior. Alright, so we saw the other guy. When you do successful damage, you're going to get 1 goblin. This guy's a 2-drop, 1/1 mythic rare, Goblin Berserker, double strike. Whenever Warren Instigator deals damage to an opponent, you may put a goblin creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. We're getting twice the value on a 2-drop. Yeah, he's a 1/1 just like the other guy, but he's gonna go boom. Oh, I get to drop a guy in. Oh, boom, I get to drop another guy in. So I could have 2 big guys at my hand and just put them onto the field. Our next one is Goblin Shortcutter, 2-drop. Whenever common. Whenever Goblin Shortcutter enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Now, because of this mechanic, you have to pick somebody. So usually if this is early, like 2 turn or something, I'll just pick himself. Yeah, he can't block, but he's going to attack you because he's got haste or whatever. Well, this deck doesn't do haste on turn 2, but turn 3, okay. So if you've been playing Magic for a while, you probably know who Goblin Piledriver is. So Goblin Piledriver is a 2-drop rare from Origins, Goblin Warrior. He's a 1/2 with protection from blue. This creature can't be blocked, targeted, dealt damage, or enchanted by anything blue. Whenever Goblin Piledriver attacks, it gets +2/+0 until the end of turn for each other attacking goblin. So if I have 500 guys on the field and I'm like, oh, alright, well, Goblin Shortcutter says he can't be blocked this turn. Dead? Yeah, I think so. Alright, Mog War Marshal, he was a little confusing when I started playing him, but he's just there to make tokens. So he's a 2-drop, common, 1/1. He has an echo cost, so at the beginning of my upkeep, if this comes under your control since the beginning of your last upkeep, sacrifice it unless you pay its mana cost, or echo cost, I'm sorry. So basically, to explain that, is if I play him this turn, I keep him all next turn, and then that next turn after that, then he goes to the graveyard. But when he comes in, he produces a token, and when he dies, he produces a token. So I still get plenty of value out of him. I'll get 3 turns worth of value out of him. So if I got Krenko on the field, and this guy, he comes in, pops down a token, turn Krenko, I'm making 3 dudes on top, so I have 6. Next turn, I'm making 6, turns into 12. And then 12 turns into 24, plus whatever I've been adding to the field on the way through. So a lot of value in the Mog War Marshal. Is a common. I think he's totally worth it. He was started out as just a body, and then I realized how much like value he brings to the deck, because essentially he's giving me 3 creatures. This guy, he's been in the deck a very long time. He's been in since 1.0 when I first started Krenko. This guy is a 2-drop, 1/1 common. Whenever Mog Maniac is dealt damage, it deals an equal amount of damage to target opponent. So somebody's like, hey, I'm gonna hit you with this like 50-50 indestructible, and I'll be like, oh, I don't care, hit me with it. I'm gonna block it with this Mog Maniac, and then you're gonna take 50 as well. Like, I lose 1 guy, but I can kill somebody off of it. A lot of value in this 2-drop. He's a pretty scary blocker if somebody's got some big guys. So our first sorcery in the 2-drops, Dragon Fodder. 1 of any color and 1 red, sorcery common. Put 2 1/1 goblin creature tokens into play, or onto the battlefield. Sorry, making up my own rule text to each card. So basically, just like the other spell that we were showing earlier, you know, Krenko's Command. It's dropping 2 guys. Anything that I can drop 2 and get 2 out of, I think I'm breaking even and I'm doing pretty good. One of my favorite cards, and I think everyone should run it in all their commanders. Well, maybe not all of them. This is a 2-drop common. I'm sorry, uncommon. But there are like millions out there, so that's not really that uncommon. This is Swiftfoot Boots. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. So, you know, turn 2 maybe if you have Soul Ring out. It'd probably be turn 3 of Soul Ring, and you have 2 mountains. You'll play Krenko on turn 2 with the Soul Ring 1 mountain. Second mountain on turn 2, play Krenko. This comes out, you pay 2, equip it to crank. Or if you wait later in the game to put Krenko out on the field and then put the boots on him, he's ready to fire off. This is one of the 2017 editions that I just put in this year. Obviously it's not from 2017, but that is when I put it in the deck. This is Ankh of Mishra, if I said that right, A-N-K-H of Mishra. It's a 2-drop, so Ankh, or however you say it, deals 2 damage to anyone who puts a new land into play. So that's pretty good. Like, I'm just gonna sit here and you guys are gonna take damage for playing lands. The reason I think that this is a valuable card for Mono Red is because Mono Red's not playing as many lands as any other deck. Or maybe you are, but usually you're not. This one, Metallic Mimic. The 2 rare from Aether Revolt. Is that the symbol? I can't remember. So artifact creature, shapeshifter. As Metallic Mimic enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Metallic Mimic is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Each other creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. This is a 2/1 artifact. I played this card so long, ignoring that it was even a creature. I thought it was just an artifact that's out on the field, but no, it's another creature. And I'm gonna have to check the rules text because I just realized, as Metallic Mimic enters the battlefield, oh, each other creature. Okay, never mind, it says it on the card. No rules clarification here. Alright, so we have Goblin Bombardment. Sacrifice a creature. Goblin Bombardment deals 1 damage to target creature or player. If you're playing red, you don't have to have goblins to activate this card. The 2-drop common enchantment. It says sacrifice a creature. That means even if I have Hellrider on the field, I can sacrifice him and trigger this Goblin Bombardment. There's been a lot of people that have asked me during a match, they're like, well, that says Goblin Bombardment. Yes, it does. Because goblins are the ones loading it, not the ones being shot out of it. Well, they are, but you guys get it. So we have a second pair of boots, which is really awkward to walk in when you're wearing both of them. But this is Lightning Greaves, a 2-drop. It is equipped creature, has haste and shroud. So your guy can activate as soon as you hook him up. It's equipped 0. So if Lightning Greaves, I think, is way more valuable than Swiftfoot Boots. You have the same drop, but then your equipped is 0. So you're just like, I play this for 2. I'm out of mana, but I can equip this to anybody I want. I think there's a lot of value in the Lightning Greaves. This one, I ran into this card and was just so excited about it when I saw it. Illusionist Bracers, a 2-drop. Whenever an ability of an equipped creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, copy that ability. You may choose new target for the copy, and it's equipped as 3, so you know a total of 5 costs. But you put this on Krenko and it triggers a second time after, and it stacks. So you trigger Krenko, make your 50, and then the ability is going to copy and then make you another 50, so you're going to be at 100. Well, it's going to copy the 2 50s that you just made and make 100 off of the second ability. Obviously that's just a made up number, but anyways, so imagine all of those goblins coming in and you have Impact Tremors on the field. Impact Tremors is a 2-drop enchantment common. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, Impact Tremors deals 1 damage to each opponent. All I gotta do is turn Krenko and everybody takes damage. Or cast a bunch of 1-drops, which I don't have that many 1-drops, but we get there. Throne of the God Pharaoh, 2-drop, Amonkhet rare. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the number of tapped creatures you control. Okay, I just tapped all my guys and took 1 guy out. Second main phase, yes, I'm dropping this in for 2, and everyone's gonna lose that much life. I saw this card and I knew I had to have it in my mono red Krenko. Like, there's no reason that really anyone could run this. If you're alpha striking or you attack with a lot of creatures and your creatures are tapped, or you play slivers and you use them for your gem hide and mana after you're making mana, not that I've done this, yes I have done this, but anyways, you could get at the end step, make everybody lose that much life. So keep playing creatures and voila, everybody's gonna die off of the Throne of the God Pharaoh. So on to the 3s. Krenko's Enforcer is a 1 of any color and 2 red mana. Has Intimidate. This creature can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. He just likes to break legs. Collecting the what? Collecting the debt is a bonus. So I guess this is the guy that goes and gets the payroll for Krenko. Okay. So Krenko Enforcer, 3-drop common, has Intimidate, is a 2/2. Obviously, this guy's just a body. He could really be cut and put something else in here. Like the 3-drop, maybe Bogart Shenanigans. Every time something dies and hits a graveyard, yep, that means the tokens too. Tokens hit the graveyard, you're dealing damage to target player. So this one is a Goblin King. It is a 3-drop, 2/2. Now this is different. This is an old print, so the wording is incorrect. It is all other goblins gain Mountain Walk and get +1/+1. He does not. So not as broken as what a Sliver deck would be, but pretty good. And he actually won me the game tonight. Gave everybody Mountain Walk. So this is a Goblin War Chief, 3-drop. Anytime I can search my deck, this is one of the guys I put up there, especially if I'm getting ready to turn into turn 3. Because turn 3, having this guy out, I get to make goblin spells I cast 1 less, and goblin creatures you control have haste. So that means we're putting Krenko out, turn 4, having 1 more mana left over, or if I've only got 3 on the field and this guy is out, I get to have Krenko anyway. Pretty solid. Everybody loves foil. Alright, so she's been around a long time. 3-drop, I believe that's 7th edition. So a 3-drop, 1/1, Goblin Matron. When Goblin Matron comes into play, you may search your library for a goblin card. If you do, reveal that card and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Bogart Shenanigans, you're a tribal enchantment, but you say goblin in your oracle, so yeah, I get to go get you off of Matron as well as Recruiter. Adaptive Automaton, a 3-drop rare artifact creature. 2/2. Did I say that already? Probably. As Adaptive Automaton enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Adaptive Automaton is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Other creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. So playing this, goblins, and only if the Metallic Mimic is on the field, as this enters the battlefield, it is a goblin. So when it hits, the Metallic Mimic is going to give this guy a counter. So he's also going to get a +1/+1. Bonus, Metallic Mimic, a lot of value. Adaptive Automaton, also a lot of value. Tuk Tuk the Explorer. This guy, I try to throw him under the bus all the time. Tuk Tuk the Explorer is a 3-drop rare goblin legendary creature, 1/1. The reason I always try to throw him under the bus, because 1, he has haste. But when he dies, whenever Tuk Tuk the Explorer dies, put a legendary 5/5 colorless goblin golem artifact creature token named Tuk Tuk the Returned onto the battlefield. I think the text could probably be revised on this, but I like the wording, and it's a little bit of a tongue twister. A goblin golem. Goblin golem. Try saying that like 10 times fast. Alright. Now we're on to the Gem Palm Incinerator. Gem Palm Incinerator is a 3-drop common with cycling. So why would I want to cycle him? Oh, because you pay 2 and you cycle him. When you cycle Gem Palm Incinerator, you may have it deal X damage to target creature, where X is the number of goblins in play. 2/1. I think this deck is a goblin deck. Bunch of synergy. I don't know. I'm just saying. Next one is Goblin General, 3-drop, uncommon, 1/1. When Goblin General attacks, and only when he attacks, goblins you control get +1/+1 until the end of turn. I feel like there's a card out there that could probably be a little bit better than this, but because of nostalgia reasons, he's gonna stay. He's a white border, and I just can't cut white borders. Goblin Sharpshooter. What? Wasn't there a Basilisk collar we saw like 20 minutes ago in the video? Yeah, Goblin Sharpshooter with a Basilisk collar is a nasty combination and good synergy. Goblin Sharpshooter is a 3-drop rare. Goblin Sharpshooter doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever a creature dies, untap Goblin Sharpshooter. What? Put Basilisk collar on there with lifelink and death touch? Tap him to the right, do damage? Oh, he's gonna untap because your creature just died. Death Touch does carry through the ability of tap. Goblin Sharpshooter deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So this little guy in Basilisk Collar, field wipe, it's like a little machine gun. Just tap, 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 tap. But there are those players that do wait until you're done clearing the board, and they're like, no, I think I'm going to play the stack and negate everything you just did. So it's very important to maybe think about what you're going to do before you do it. Sometimes I just like to let it sit on the field and just be intimidating. Kind of a distraction from everything else that's going on. Like the production of goblins. Our next card we have is Goblin Chieftain. 3-drop, rare, 2/2 with haste. So basically, if you don't know what haste is this creature can attack and tap as soon as it comes under your control. Other goblin creatures you control get +1/+1 and have haste. Yes, give everything haste. What? Krenko's a 4/4? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're gonna have to work a little harder to get to the damage to do it to him. Archetype of Aggression, not a goblin. This is a human warrior uncommon, but creatures you control have trample. Creatures your opponents control lose trample and can't have it or gain it. And this guy's a 3-drop uncommon 3/2, but he's only in there for his effect. Next one, Umbral Mantle. The Umbral Mantle, definitely a big, huge threat, especially skirt prospectors on the field. Yeah, we're making unlimited buku amounts of goblins. Umbral Mantle is a 3-drop uncommon artifact equipment. Equipped creature has pay 3. Untap this creature, gets +2/+2 to end of turn. What? So I can untap Krenko, give him +2/+2 to end of turn, and then sacrifice 3 goblins? to make Mana Outskirt Prospector, pour back into this and tap him again, and then untap him and just keep going? Okay, I'm gonna make Krenko like huge. Oh, I forgot. Archetype of Aggression's on the field. All my guys had trample. Yeah, it's getting pretty nasty. Hammer Porphyros, 3-drop. It is a legendary enchantment artifact, rare. Creatures you control have haste. There's also an ability on here that I rarely ever use, but it's 3 tap, sacrifice a land, put a 3/3 colorless golem enchantment artifact creature token onto the battlefield. So if you don't have any creatures and somebody's like, hey, I'm going to attack you. No, you're not. Well, you can. But if it's on the ground, I'm going to go ahead and make this 3/3 and block it. And whether it's chump blocking or you are going to kill their creature, I think there's some value in that. Now this card, it's got some age to it, but it's a 3-drop Goblin War Drums enchantment. And the text is super small, so I apologize if I don't read this clearly. Each attacking creature you control that opponent chooses to block may not be blocked with fewer than 2 creatures. So basically it's menace. Oh, and that's just the ability here. I thought I was gonna have to read that whole thing all the way down the card, but that's okay. But that card is super annoying, especially when there's like a million on the field. This is brand new, a Hazardous Monument, 3-drop, uncommon legendary artifact. Red creature spells you cast cost them 1 less to cast. Well, Krenko just dropped down to 3, so we might be able to get him out turn 4 and still have mana left over. Because if this is coming out turn 3, or even turn 2 with a Soul Ring and 1 mountain, okay, I'll make it cheaper. And then if I'm still stuck on the 1 Soul Ring and 1 mountain, I can still cast Krenko, because this is going to make it cheaper. Not including all the other stuff that's in there that needs 1 less. Alright, a 3-drop rare enchantment. Creatures you control have haste. Pretty straight up card. 3-drop, hey, it's Fervor. We're coming at you. As soon as I tap Krenko, I'm sending the Horde. I'm just gonna tap and then just run over you. Or attempt to. This is one of the most hated cards in this deck. Well, by my opponents anyway. It's a 3-drop rare from Modern Masters 2017. I did have a Chronicles, and then I decided, you know what, I'll sell the Chronicles and buy one of these cheaper mountains. Well, or one of these cheaper Blood Moons. See, I'm getting confused between my mountains and Blood Moons. And get this cheaper one. And then I saw the Invocation that's coming out of Hour of Devastation, Blood Moon. I really want that one, but I'm not going to pay the price that they're probably going to want for it. But anyways, Blood Moon is non-basic lands or mountains. No, not in addition to their types. Your non-basics are just mountains. They're just red. All those dual colors you got over there, yep, red it is. And speaking of red, Hall of Triumphs, a 3-drop rare. All as Hall of Triumphs. It enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures you control of the chosen color get +1/+1. So this deck runs a lot of buffs, but it doesn't run as clinky as you think it does. Like, it looks like there's a lot of buffs and stuff, but there's also a lot of creatures. Goblin Goon, he's a 4-drop, a little bit almost out of the mana curve, but he's a rare Goblin Mutant. So Goblin Goon is a little unique. Yes, he's a 6/6 for 4, but Goblin Goon can't attack unless you control more creatures than defending play. Goblin Goon can't block unless you control more creatures than attacking player. Usually I don't have to worry about that. It's not a big issue. So he's pretty good. So Goblin Ringleader, this is the 4-drop I've been talking about. He's got haste. He can attack right off of the block. But whenever Goblin Ringleader comes into play, reveal the top 4 cards for your library. Put all Goblin cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. And it's a 2-drop uncommon. Beetleback Chief is a 4-drop. It's 2 of any color and 2 red. Uncommon. This one's actually out of one of the commander sets of what, 2015, somewhere there, 2014, I don't remember. Yeah, Commander 14, right there, C14. So when Beetleback Chief enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 Red Goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. And this is also a 2/2. So I'm getting 3 guys for 4. I think that's a pretty good valuable card. Especially if we have some other guys out on the field that are allowing us to do damage as guys are entering the field. So here's the Hell Rider we were talking about earlier. This one is foil and from the Modern Masters 2017 set. It's 2 of anything and 2 red, 3/3. It's got haste. Whenever a creature you control attacks, Hell Rider deals 1 damage to defending player. So before damage and every combat's even started, you tap the guy and everybody else, bam, they're already taking that much damage for each attacking creature. So it's pretty solid. And this one's a lot better looking than the one I had before. It was non-foil and kind of grungy and stuff. So Empty the Warrens is a 4-drop sorcery common. Put 2 1/1 Red Goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. Oh, well, why am I paying 4 to put only 2 guys on the field? Well, because of the storm effect. When you play this spell, copy it for each spell played before it this turn. So you drop a couple of 1-drop guys, and they're like, oh, that's 2, so that's 2 mana. I've got 4 left over. I play Empty the Warrens. I'm getting 2 4/6 goblins off of a 4-drop. I mean, yeah, it's a little situational because you're usually not playing that with other spells because red doesn't ramp that good on the mana. But sometimes when it works out and you need it, it's there. Alright, so one of the newest additions is Mana Barbs. It's a 4-drop enchantment, rare. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, Mana Barbs deals 1 damage to that player. So we have Mishra in there that says when you play land, you're going to take 2 damage. This guy says when you tap land, you're going to take 1 damage. So, land taxation. Owie. Porphyros, God of the Forge. 4-drop. Legendary enchantment creature god. Not a goblin. But he is a mythic rare. Indestructible. As long as your devotion to red is less than 5, Porphyros isn't a creature. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Porphyros deals 2 damage to each opponent. So everybody's taking damage from Mana Barbs and their lands, and they're taking damage from my 50,000 goblins that are dropping in off of Krenko. It's just damage all around. And this guy's a 6/5 for 4. It's pretty good. He's pretty big. And even if it's not a creature, he's still indestructible. And then we have Door of Destinies, a 4-drop artifact from the M14. It's a rare. As Door of Destinies enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Goblins. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on Door of Destinies. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each charge counter on Door of Destinies. That's a lot of counters. Of course, it is cast. It's not tapping off a Krenko and making tokens, so that won't happen off of that. But you can get there pretty fast. This is a 5-drop, 2 of any color and 3 reds. It's a legendary creature, Goblin Shaman from Kamigawa. It's the rare. It has haste and put a creature token into play that's a copy of target non-legendary creature you control. That creature token has haste. Sacrifice it at the end of the turn. Sometimes I'll play this and make a copy of Recruiter or Matron, or make a second Skirk Prospector in case, I don't know, for whatever reason. Depending on the situation, that's he's pretty good. Siege Gang Commander. He's a 5-drop, but there's a lot of value in that 5. So it's a 3 colorless and 2 red. It is from the M10 set. Creature Goblin. It's a rare 2/2. When Siege Gang Commander enters the battlefield, put 3 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. And then there's also pay 2, sacrifice a Goblin. Siege Gang Commander deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So Skirk Prospector's on the field, and I've got like, I don't know, 5,000 goblins. I can just start stacking goblins and doing damage to everyone. This is one of my favorite dragons of all time. Voracious Dragon is a 3 of anything and 2 red. It is a creature dragon with flying and devour 1. So as this comes into play, you may sacrifice any number of creatures this creature comes into play with that many +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever Voracious Dragon comes into play, it deals damage to target creature or player equal to twice the number of goblins it devoured. So yes, this is specifically made to eat the goblins. And it is a rare 4/4 flying creature. Yeah, goblins always need a flying creature, so why not something that supports goblins but also destroys them? We have a Fury Stroke Giant, a 5-drop, 3 of any color and 2 red creature giant warrior. Rare. When Fury Stroke Giant comes into play, other creatures you control gain tap. This creature deals 2 damage to target creature or player until end of turn, and it is a 3/3. So there's 50 to 500 goblins out there. I play this. They've all been in the field. They're not summoning sickness. I'm going to tap them all. Everyone's going to lose. There's just so much damage coming out of this deck. Alright, this is a really fun one, and I got to play with this one today. This is a 5-drop, 5 of anything you want. A mythic rare Eldrazi Monument artifact from the original Zendikar. Creatures you control get +1/+1, have flying, and are indestructible. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. If you can't, sacrifice Eldrazi Monument. Now there is a little bit of rules that some people mislead on this. You're sacrificing creatures until you don't have any creatures. It's not one or the other. You don't get to sacrifice this or a creature. It's creatures until this is the only thing on the field. But you know, with Krenko producing the goblins that it does, you can just sacrifice a goblin and make this stay on the field. Alright, so our next card and the last card, and probably the biggest, hugest, monstrous thing, helps everyone but helps me the most, is Coat of Arms. This is a 5-drop of any color. It's an artifact, 9th edition, rare. White border, it's got everything. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature in play that shares a creature type with it. Yeah, the 500 goblins you have just became 499, 499. Basically, you just take the full amount -1. That's how big they all are. Even if they're all 1/1s and you have 500 of them, yeah, they're 499, 499. And that is Coat of Arms. So that is every single card that is ran in the Krenko right now. We are going to put Bogart Shenanigans into this deck to make it just a little bit different. And you guys on Facebook have given me some suggestions on some cards that I'm pretty excited about that will probably be implemented into this deck. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I apologize that it was freaking almost an hour long. But for those of you that have seen everything in the deck, greatly appreciate you guys watching. And I will actually do like a demo playthrough, but I will do that on a separate video because it's already at an hour. And yeah, so I'm Tim with the Geeked Up King Review Group, also the partner owner of the Dragon Scale LLC in Franklin, Indiana at 62 West Jefferson Street. We will see you guys later, and we hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time.